If you're facing a problem, a challenge, or an issue that is making you feel like rubbish right now, the last thing you need is somebody like me coming along trying to motivate you, trying to make you feel better. That's not what I'm going to do here. But if you want a solution that's going to help you to get the headspace to be able to deal with the problems, the challenges that you're facing effectively, then keep on listening. I'm not going to give you a solution to your problems because I do not know what they are, but I'm going to teach you and show you what I do to get into the headspace. I do 4 things that help me to get into the right headspace to be able to deal with the rubbish that happens to us in life. If you're new here, then welcome along. My name is Anthony Charles, and on this channel, I make videos about the ideas, the strategies, and the tools that help you to be more, do more, and have more by strengthening your mindset, mastering your people skills, and boosting your productivity. So let's get into it. I need to get myself into a headspace to deal with the challenges and the problems that happen in life. So the first thing I do is I ask myself a simple question. What is the worst thing that can happen? So in life, what's the worst thing that could happen to us in anything? The worst thing that could ever happen to us is that we die, and we're all going to do that. So let's get that out of the way. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look at the problem, the challenge that I'm facing, and I'm going to say to myself, what is the worst thing that can happen? And the first thing I do, you've heard me say the word problem a couple of times. I said it for your benefit. I don't have problems, I have challenges. I will frame everything that I'm facing as a challenge. You know why? If somebody comes to you and they say to you, we've got a problem, think about how it makes you feel. You immediately start feeling like, there's something wrong here. If they come and say, we've got a challenge, it sounds like something that you can get over. So first and foremost, I might be facing something bad, but the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tell myself it's a challenge. Then I'm going to ask myself the question, what is the worst thing that can happen? And I need to be able to face it. I need to be able to face the worst that can happen. Too many people, when they're thinking about the things that are happening to them, they don't want to look at the worst. They don't want to face the worst. I'm going to encourage you to come with me on this. You've got to be able to think about the worst thing that can happen in this situation. You've got to sit with it. And when I say sit with it, I don't mean sit with it and wallow with it and start, saying, woe is me. No, I need you to sit with it and start saying, what is the worst thing that can happen? When you see the worst thing, or you think about the worst thing that can happen, you've got to be able to get to a point where you can say, if this happens, then I'll do whatever this. You've got to be able to finish that sentence. If this happens, then I'll do this. So when I'm thinking about a challenge, I will think about the worst thing that can happen to me. Then I start from there. I start saying, if this happens, then I'll do this. You need to at least have one thing you can do, because think about it. I don't know how much you know about your conscious and your subconscious mind. You give your subconscious mind an inch, it will run with it. And just think about something. If you have a little bit of a bad thought in your mind and you just do nothing about it, you just leave it there, doesn't it multiply? Doesn't it get worse? Don't you start thinking the worst of the worst of the worst? The same thing happens with a good thought. So if I'm thinking about something that is really bad and I'm thinking, what's the worst that can happen? And once I think about what's the worst that can happen, I say to myself, if this happens, then I'll do this. Once I've got one little bit of a solution, then my mind will start working on other solutions. Trust me, that works. Do not go there and don't come back. I don't want you to stay there and wallow, but don't come back to deal with the problems until you have mentally said, I can cope with the worst that can happen. So I can hear you saying right now, okay, I've dealt with how bad it can get, but that doesn't solve my problem for me. I said I'm not going to solve the problem. I'm going to put you in a frame of mind that's going to help you to solve the problem. So number 2 is perspective. And we're going to talk about what it is, and we're going to talk about what it's not. The best example I've got for you is perspective. I was studying the Bible the other day, and I was reading the story of David and Goliath. We all know the story of David and Goliath. David killed Goliath. David was a little young man, and Goliath was, in some cases, they say he was 6 foot tall. He was 9 foot tall in other cases. I don't know. But I know that if I was there, he would have been a giant. I'm so small. Most of the people in the world that I live in are giants. I'm a little like a hobbit. So most people are like giants to me. So 6 foot, 9 foot, it would not have bothered me. But let me put things into perspective for a minute. Now, yes, God helped David to kill Goliath. But God had helped David a little bit before that. Think about this for a minute. David killed a lion and he killed a bear. So I just want to put things into perspective for a moment. When David was facing Goliath, a giant man, he had already killed a lion. He had already killed a bear. So putting it into perspective, do you think that David was very worried? He did the other things with God's help, definitely. What about Goliath? He did that with God's help as well. Now, I think about this. For me, if I had to fight somebody, and put yourself in a position, if you had the choice, you're going to fight a lion, you're going to fight a bear, or you're going to fight a 9-foot man. I'm going to fight the 9-foot man. I'm not going to fight a lion. Why would I fight a lion? As soon as the lion comes along, it just has to do this. Just like that, like he's playing a harp. All the skin on my back is gone. If the lion just comes along and it does this, just a little thing like that, and look, my arm is gone. So I don't want to fight the lion. I don't want to fight a bear. If I fight the bear's like, just a little yawn like that, pull off both of my arms. A giant can't do that. A giant can't bite me and make my arm come off. A giant can't tear off all the skin off my back with one little stroke. I've got more chance fighting a Goliath than a lion or a bear. Putting things into perspective. Think about it. If you was Goliath, I'm beginning to feel sorry for Goliath in actual fact, because if you were Goliath and you were getting ready to fight the people, and David comes along and he says, I'm going to fight you. And you're looking at David, you say, I'm going to kill him. Now imagine you're Goliath for a minute. And one of your friends says, oh, I know that guy. Last week he killed a lion. What would you do if you was Goliath? And one of your friends told you that you killed a lion. Yeah, the other week, your other friend says, the other week he killed a bear. If I was Goliath, I would be standing there, and when they say he killed a lion, he killed a bear, I would be thinking for a minute. I'll say, boy, the sun is out. Hold on. I left my Ray-Bans in my chariot. I'll be gone. I'll be gone. I'll be in my chariot Tesla, and I'll be gone. No more Goliath. I will go home. So putting things into perspective, David was already ready when he faced Goliath. So other people, they would say this was really bad. I don't think it was really bad for David. I'm not trying to make light of it, but God helped him in 3 ways. And David already had the upper hand in his head because he already killed a lion, he already killed a bear. Goliath was no problem. I'm not trying to trivialize anybody's challenges here, but for instance, right now, I've already think about how bad things are. I'm going to put things into perspective. I've got a bad knee at the moment, and I've been hobbling around the place. And I have to think about it for a minute. I was thinking to myself last week, I thought, this is really, really bad. And I had to say, hold on. How bad is it? How bad is it? It's not stage 4 cancer. And that is my go-to. Now, no disrespect, not trying to upset anybody who has stage 4 cancer, anybody you know who's got stage 4 cancer. I just use it to put things into perspective. Maybe one day, if I had stage 4 cancer, I might think differently about something. But right now, I'm living in gratitude, because when I look at a situation, my bad knee, it is not stage 4 cancer. So I live in gratitude, and I say to God, if this is the challenge that I've got to face right now, I didn't want the challenge, but if this is what you're giving to me and it ain't stage 4 cancer, I will take it. Gracefully, I will take it. You know, I used to do an exercise when I used to train volunteer mentors years ago. And what we would do, we would get people in the circle, the volunteers, and I would say to everybody, write down on a piece of paper a problem that you are currently facing, something that you don't mind the group reading. You don't have to identify who you are. You don't have to put your name with it, but just write it down. And everybody writes down the problem, fold it up, and we put it into a little box. I shake the box up, and then I pass the box around, and everybody has to take a problem out. If you take a problem that was already yours out, you put it back in until you get somebody else's problem. Then when everybody has got somebody else's problem, they open it and read it. And you want to see the look on people's faces when they are reading what somebody else is going through. You think your stuff was bad? You're reading this, and you're thinking, oh my goodness. 9 times out of 10, I will say to people, who wants their old problem back, or who wants the new problem that's there? Most people put up their hands and they say they would like their old problem back. You know why? Because I really do believe that God doesn't give us more than we can handle. And it's up to us to put ourselves in a position where we can deal with these challenges. You see, your mindset, your attitude, your perception has the power to change the very nature of the thing that you are experiencing. In other words, your thoughts shape your reality. You've got to be able to put things into perspective and thank your lucky stars. Serious, when you're looking at a challenge, looking at a problem, if you look at how bad it can be and you begin to deal with it, if you put it into perspective, you may find yourself living in gratitude, thanking your lucky stars that it could be worse. But I can hear you complaining still, and you say, I put it into perspective. What do I do now? Number 3 is you've got to reframe your negative thoughts. That's getting yourself a good old paradigm shift. In my video, which was called, what's it called again? Yeah, Reframe Your Negative Thoughts. You can watch it here. I talk about the benefits of becoming, not the benefits. I talk about your beliefs becoming your identity. The things that you think about yourself, the beliefs that you have becoming your identity. And let me give you an example. It's like a vegan, it's like a non-smoker, it's like an environmentalist. Think about it. What happens? It begins with a thought. You may think to yourself, I should eat more of a plant-based diet. And if that thought and those actions carry on, you become a vegan. You may say to yourself, I'm never going to smoke. Or you may be a smoker and you think that my life is going to be much better if I stop smoking, I pack it all in. You carry that on, you become a non-smoker. You start thinking that I've got to do more for the earth that I live in. I've got to be more caring. And the more things that you do, you become an environmentalist. Do you see how your thoughts and the things that you think about become the person who you are? So if you view a challenge as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, then it becomes a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. And I know I'm making it sound simple, but with repetition, with practice, you can learn how to do these things. You see, I see a challenge as an opportunity to find a creative solution. Now that sounds nice, does it? Does that mean that that I like challenges, that I'm happy with challenges? No, I don't want any challenges. I wish I could live my life and have no problems, no challenges, but everybody has them. It's always been that way since I've been here. So the only thing I can do is I can find a way how to deal with these challenges. The late great Fred Hartise said, you can't work hard enough to overcome a negative thought process. And you know, the only people who don't have challenges are people who are dead. Everybody else, I look around, everybody's got a challenge. So I've got to find ways to solve things. People say to me, but what happens when things go wrong? Yeah, you know, things go wrong. If you see a failure, again, this is just another way of thinking about something. If you see a failure as a lesson rather than defeat, then it transforms into growth rather than a setback. Think about that. It's the disposition of the thought that alters the nature of the thing. I'll say that again. It's the disposition of your thought that alters the nature of the thing. The disposition of the thought is how you choose to think about something, and that determines the nature of the thing, how it manifests itself in your life. Look, if you like this kind of video where I share what I've learned through my life experiences and how it determines the decision I make on a day-to-day basis, and if you feel that it is useful for you, then please like, please subscribe, please share. Let's get on with it. Number 4 is to meet negativity with the same intensity. Let me tell you something. I've already quoted this. I'm going to say it again. Fred Hartise, the late great Fred Hartise, he said, you cannot work hard enough to overcome a negative thought process going through your mind. Negativity is bad, man. It's dangerous. It's destructive. It will destroy you. I have been in stages in my life when I've been going through some real stuff, and I have gone to the point where I've considered taking a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I just thinking of how can I end this, or how can I leave this place. I'm lucky that with God's help that I've been able to stay here and I don't have those thoughts anymore. That's how destructive a negative thought process can be. Let me just take you back to Friday the 18th of March. I had to write this down. I had to memorize that day because that was one of the days when I really got myself empowered. Friday the 18th of March, 2016. I was going through some stuff and I woke up about 4:38. I remember looking at the time, 4:38 in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. I was scared. I was depressed. I was down. I was just going through some stuff. I prayed hard. I prayed, Lord, I said, I need you now. I need your help now. And my amen, you know, the amen, which means so be it. I meant it, man, because I said, I've got to do everything. Where I was at that time, I said to myself, this ain't good, man. This ain't God. You got to get rid of it. And those negative thoughts were coming and they were rising up inside of me. I started meditating. I started visualizing, and then I deployed my most powerful weapon that I have. And that is my self-talk and the words that I speak and the words that I think. This was warfare. This was warfare, dealing with this negative stuff. And I had to deploy the big guns, the thoughts that I have in my mind and the words that come out of my mouth. And I started to chant, man. I was saying, it's easy. I'm telling myself, you're facing this challenge, my friend. It says it's easy. It's the attitude. Absolutely. It's easy. It's the attitude. Absolutely. It's easy. It's your attitude. Absolutely. And I started to feel so powerful. I got up and I started moving around. That's what I tell people when I'm coaching them. I said, when the negative starts coming around and you start doing the self-talk, you've got to get up. You've got to go into another state. You've got to start moving around. I start pacing up and down. And then I just start fighting back. I start to fight back. I said, hold on. What's going on here? You're waking me up for this? You're waking me up for this problem. Do you know who you're dealing with? Do you know who you're playing around with? Do you know who's in my corner? Mate, do you know who's got my back? You know who's on my side? God's backing me up on this one, you know. I just finished praying to him. I just finished talking to him. He's got my back. I got Shad Helmstetter, the master of self-talk, to control the thought process, control the words that's coming out of your mouth, the words that are going through your head. I've got my mentors, Ron G. Holland, Tom and Vicky O'Reilly. I've got Susan Jeffers, Field of Fair and Do It Anyway. I've got David J. Swartz. I've got Andrew Matthews. I've got Vex King. You name it, I've got it. I've got the Stoics. Yes, all of them. I've got Dale Carnegie. I've got Napoleon Hill. You bring it, I got it. I've got Earl Nightingale. He's been with me from since I'm 7 years old when I first heard the Strangest Secret. I've got my children that believe in me. I've got my wife, my best friend, who has got my back. I've got my cousins, Tina. I've got my cousin, Shelly. They're on my side. They got my back. I've got my big sister, Jerlyn, who's on my side. I've got my friends. I've got my families who believe in me. I've got my clients who know me, who like me, who trust me. And you're coming to me with this nonsense? You're getting me up at 4:38 in the morning to scare me, to make me feel bad, to make me worry, to make me do bad things. Do you think you're the only one who can run features inside of this mind? Do you think you're the only one who could run a movie in this mind? No, I say, hold on a minute. In this cinema, I'm in control of this cinema. What you're running this morning at 4:38 is just a trailer. Mate, you better get some popcorn. You better get in your seat because the main feature is about to start. It's a blockbuster and it's starring me. And I'm about to write the rest of my future. You better take your seat and shut up. In actual fact, I said, get off, man. Move from here. Get off. Get out of here. You're coming here, filling up my head with all of this nonsense. You ain't got no place there. Get lost, man. You're lucky that this is a YouTube video that I'm making here because I'll tell you all about yourself. I meet negativity with the same amount of intensity that it brings. It's the kind of stuff that can kill you. It's the kind of stuff that can destroy you. So I meet negativity with the same kind of power that it's coming to me with, and I'm batting it away. I can't be reading self-talk nicely on a piece of paper. I just got to chant the words and I got to push it away. Your mind is a terrible master. It's an incredible slave. You have to master your mind. That's what we say. You got to master your mind. You got to put yourself in the best frame of mind to face those challenges. Put yourself in the best frame of mind. Go through the steps that I've just told you. I'm not going to repeat them again. Go through them. Put yourself in the best place that you can to find a solution. And then when you put yourself in the best frame of mind, you go out there and you solve that challenge. And while you're doing it, you keep on being amazing. You know why? Because you are. I'll speak to you soon. Feeling good? Want more results like this? Let's keep that momentum going with this video here. Also, click on my head here to subscribe.